They tell me, I have never done it, and I certainly do not plan to do it now, that it is possible to walk through the city following a network of ravines and river valleys like this one without ever once setting foot to concrete. And somehow or other, though I don't plan to do it, I do find that a rather impressive statistic. This particular ravine is called the Don. It's locally known as the Muddy Don, and apparently if I am in marathon training, which I'm not, it would be possible to go that away for about 5 miles, in which case I'd empty into Toronto Harbour along with the rest of the refuse in the Don. And in the other direction, I could go about 9 miles, and again, as I said, never once set foot on a pavement, and that is kind of interesting. There are two notions, I think, which grew up, in the sense, in the 60s in North America and played a very important role in the development of Toronto. One, obviously, was our sudden concern for the care and feeding of the environment. That sort of thing was all very old hat to European city planners, but it's quite novel here because the North American tradition, of course, has always been one of extreme pragmatism as regards the design of a city. And this kind of literal trailblazing in the middle of the city would have been unthinkable 2 or 3 generations ago, certainly, maybe even 1 generation ago. The other notion, which seems very different on the surface, but is, I think, very compatible and very, very important, is the idea of technology as the master of the environment. Technology is, in large measure, responsible for the fact that, despite my distaste for all cities, I continue to live in this one. For me, the idea that technology does provide an alternate environment, that it can transcend the tooth and claw survival of the fittest laws of nature, is a very comforting concept. I've never understood why some people find it so threatening, and its ability to make the necessity of musical performance in a public arena absolutely irrelevant has literally changed my life. These days, needless to say, kids take for granted the sort of close contact with technology which was simply not available for my generation. And this place, which is called the Ontario Science Centre, was intended to refute the static, we teach, you learn approach of the conventional museum. It's taken for granted here that the visitor will be a participant, and that without his participation, in fact, the centre and each of its exhibits would lack a raison d'etre.
I've never tried this before, so I don't know how high I can get. It's easy. I wonder how high up I go. Hey, yeah, you could. You could push down lower and bring the bridge closer. Left arm ball.
In my youth, Toronto was also called the City of Churches, and indeed the most vivid of my childhood memories, insofar as they have to do with Toronto at all, have to do with churches. They have to do with Sunday evening services, not Sunday morning ones, what with all that sunlight. They have to do with evening light, filtered through stained glass windows, and with ministers who concluded their benediction with the phrase, "Lord, give us the peace that the earth cannot give." Monday mornings, you see, meant going back to school and encountering all sorts of terrifying situations out there in the city. So those moments of Sunday evening sanctuary became very special to me. They meant that one could find a certain tranquility, even in the city, but only if one opted not to be a part of it. Well, I don't go to church these days, I must confess, but I do repeat that phrase to myself, the one about the peace that the earth cannot give, very often, and find it a great comfort. What I've done, I think, while living here is to concoct some sort of metaphoric stained glass window, which allows me to survive what appear to me to be the perils of the city, much as I survived Monday mornings in the schoolroom, I guess. And the best thing I can say about Toronto is that it doesn't seem to intrude upon that hermit-like process. It's been fascinating to get to know it after all these years, but not even our exploration of it has made me a city convert, I'm afraid. I am more than ever convinced, though, that, like Leningrad, Toronto is indeed a truly peaceful city. But perhaps I see it through rose-colored glasses. Perhaps what I see is nothing more than mirage. I hope not, though, because if that mirage were ever to evaporate, I'd have no alternative but to leave town.